the railway children. They were not railway children to begin with. They were just ordinary suburban children, and they lived with their father and mother in an ordinary red brick-fronted house. There were 3 of them. Roberta was the eldest. Next came Peter, who wished to be an engineer when he grew up. And the youngest was Phyllis, who tried to keep up with the older children. Mother was almost always there, ready to play with the children and read to them and help them do their homework. She also used to write stories for them while they were at school and read them aloud after tea, and she always made up funny pieces of poetry for special occasions. These 3 lucky children always had everything they needed: pretty clothes, lovely warm house, and lots of toys. They had a dog who was called James. They also had a father who was just perfect, never cross, never unjust, and always ready for a game. You will think that they ought to have been very happy. And so they were. But they did not know how happy till the pretty life in the red house was over and done with, and they had to live a very different life indeed. The dreadful change came quite suddenly. Peter had his 10th birthday. Among his other presents was a model engine, more perfect than you could have ever dreamed of. The other presents were full of charm, but the engine was the favorite. Its charm lasted for exactly 3 days. Then, the engine suddenly went off with a bang. James was so frightened that he went out and did not come back all day. All the toy people who were in the tender were broken to bits, but nothing else was hurt except the poor little engine and the feelings of Peter. The others said he cried over it. He said that his eyes were red because he had a cold. This turned out to be true, though Peter did not know it was when he said it. The next day he had to go to bed and stay there. Mother began to be afraid that he might have measles, when suddenly he sat up in bed and said, "I hate gruel. I hate barley water. I hate bread and milk. I want to get up and have something real to eat."
"What would you like?"
Mother asked. "A pie," said Peter eagerly. "A large pie, a very large one." So, a large pie was made, and when it was cooked, Peter ate some of it. After that, his cold was better. Father had been away in the country for 4 days. Peter hoped that his father would be able to fix his broken engine, because father was most wonderfully clever with his fingers. He could mend all sorts of things. He had often acted as a veterinary surgeon to the wooden rocking horse. Once he had saved its life when even the carpenter said he couldn't do anything. And it was father who mended the doll's cradle when no one else could. And with a little glue and some bits of wood and a penknife, made all the toy animals as strong on their legs as ever they were, if not stronger. Mother told Peter not to say anything about his engine until after father had had his dinner. Peter found this very difficult, but he did it. He waited patiently while father ate. At last, mother said to father,
"Now, dear, if you are ready, we want to tell you about the great railway accident and ask your advice."
"All right,"
said father.
"Fire away."
So then Peter told the sad tale and fetched what was left of the engine.
"Hum,"
said father when he had looked the engine over very carefully. The children held their breaths. "Is there no hope?" said Peter in a low, unsteady voice.
"Hope? Rather tons of it,"
said father cheerfully.
"But it'll want something besides hope. A bit of solder and a new valve. I'll give up Saturday afternoon to it, and you shall all help me."
"Can girls help to mend engines?" Peter asked doubtfully.
"Of course they can. Girls are just as clever as boys, and don't you forget it. How would you like to be an engine driver, Phil?"
My face would be always dirty, wouldn't it?
Said Phyllis in unenthusiastic tones.
And I might break something.
I would just love it.
Said Roberta.
Do you think I could when I'm grown up, Daddy? Or even a stoker?
You mean a fireman?
Said Daddy, pulling and twisting at the engine.
Well, if you still wish it, when you're grown up, we'll see about making you a firewoman. I remember when I was a boy.
Just then, there was a knock at the front door.